Hello YouTubes. On a recent video I visited Sparky for his Christmas get-together and I was oogling his Katy. That's not a euphemism. This is his Katy. Why have I got it? Well, Sparky mentioned that it had an intermittent power outage problem. It just kept cutting out on the track. So I offered to borrow it and see if I could fix it for him. So I'm going to have to do something that I've never done before on this channel. And that would be careful. So this is an Athearn Genesis SD70ACe Union Pacific Heritage Unit MKT, which is the Katy. Absolutely gorgeous. Always wanted one of these and now I have one, briefly. I have a rough idea of what's wrong with this. It's losing power, obviously, from either the front or the rear truck. And if it's like any of the ones I've seen in the past, it's a relatively easy fix. But you know what? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, or me ahead of myself. Let's take it to the track and diagnose the issue. The first test I like to do is the dead frog test. I have got fairly gigantic frogs on these turnouts. These are number 8 Atlas turnouts, HO scale, in case you didn't know. And I've switched the power off, which means when this local comes along, if either the front or the rear trucks is not picking up power, then when the powered one, because we do at least have one powered truck, when the powered one reaches the dead frog area, if the other one isn't working, then the local will stop. Like that. So, because the front truck is now on the dead frog, we can presume that the rear frog, the rear truck, is not picking up power. So if we push this gently past the dead frog section so that the front truck then gains power from there, then it should burst into life. Like so. And turn the volume up full. Right, just to make sure, we'll try that in reverse. So I'm thinking no power in the rear truck. So it's going to go over the dead frog because it's getting power from the front. But when the front gets to the dead frog, it stops. So no power in the rear truck. Hopefully a relatively simple fix. Just to make things a little bit easier to understand, I will now do a simplified wiring diagram. Trust me, it will be simple, like me. I will even use a Sharpie. That's how simple it's going to be. Okie dokie, let's say the motion direction of travel is that way. Okay, my left rail will be here, right rail will be here. I'm not going to draw it all the way along because that will confuse things. Front truck of the loco, there. Rear truck of the loco, there. 6 wheels on each. Not to scale. Motor in the middle, but on top of the motor would normally sit decoder. Not necessarily, the decoder could be anywhere, but normally it's in that sort of area. Top of the decoder, you need little connectors for the power going in. So all the wires from the front truck have to go into the decoder, all the wires from the rear truck have to go into the decoder. These 3 collect, those 3 collect, there, roughly. That'll go into that for the right rail pickup. That'll go into there for the left rail pickup. Okay? So that's our front 2 pickups, left and right. Exactly the same in the rear. These 3 wheels connect to there. And those ones connect to there. Wire goes from the right rear into there. Left rear into there. So, the problem we have, we know it's the rear truck that's not picking up power, so it's either there, there or there. We've got 4 options for the power not transferring. Loose connections possibly, because I know that some of these use, it's a kind of wire going through a tap, and then it's got one of these tiny little things holding it in place. You see that? You see that there? That will make sense when we get into this. But that's the basic way it works. Power goes into the decoder. Decoder does its magic and then sends all the different signals to the motor, to the lights, all that kind of thing. But this is purely the power pickup from the front and rear trucks into the decoder. Okay, basic stuff. I have my spongy operating table. Let's get into this patient carefully. To remove the body, we need to remove the couplers. Screw there, and then there's another 2 screws, one down there and one down there holding the body on. Magnetized screwdrivers are your friend, especially when you're trying to get it back in. Okay, so now we should be able to gently remove the body. Don't grab it by the handrails. Carefully, carefully. Now there will still be wires going to the ditch lights and the headlight there. So don't just expect this to come all the way off. Seems to be fouling on something, so just need to be careful. There we go. My goodness, look at all those lovely wires. I don't really want to remove all the wiring, so let me set this down gently and we'll have a closer look. So let's compare this to my highly detailed diagram. Front truck, left pickup wire that I drew connects to, this is the left, connects to that tab there that we mentioned in the diagram. Right wire from the right wheel front pickups goes to that little tab there, and likewise at the rear. Left rear wire goes into this tab here. Right rear wire goes into that tab there, so I got it right. Now, my plan is to remove all 4 of these tabs and solder these wires in, and hopefully put these little clips back over the top just to protect them. But I do want to show you what's going on underneath here and why this is a potential issue. Possibly not on this side. It's more likely that the problem is down on the truck side, because that's where the movement is. But I do like to just ensure that these 4 connections, the pickup connections going into the decoder, are solid while I've got the shell off anyway. So I'll give you a closer look at that. Let's remove one of these clips, or caps. Let's call them caps, shall we? You can usually just do this with your fingernail. Okay, and as you can see, hopefully, the wire is pushed in from the bottom through a wee hole in the circuit board, and is relying on this little cap to hold it tight. It's not the best idea except for maintenance, you know, because it makes it really easy to change out a decoder or other items. But that's how all these wires are held in, with these little caps. So I'm not going to replace them all. I'm just going to replace these 4 at the top and the ones on the trucks. See, I even see there's a little bit of loose copper wire right there from that just being pushed in against it. Now the reason that I'm not soldering these on yet is it's going to make life much easier to remove this truck without the wires being attached. So how do we do that? Looks relatively straightforward. Never is though. Let's remove this tape. Don't worry, I've got more tape. So now that those wires are free from the circuit board, we just have to unclip our truck and it should drop down. Yeah, it looks fairly straightforward actually. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. It's very similar to the old Athearn Blue Box. You want to get a screwdriver underneath either side of this cover here. Usually you can get a wee hole on the underside and feed up a screwdriver. Usually it's quite tight in there though, so I might not be able to do it that way. Failing that, maybe go in from here. Yeah, go in from there. You might get under that clip. Clip it up. Probably have to do the other side as well. And from there, clip it up. It's a wee bit awkward with this. I don't really want to remove the whole. Hold on a second, that looks like it might separate. Might be able to take this section off. That'll make life a little bit easier. Let's give that a shot. It'll also make reassembly much easier. Yeah, these are just wee short screws, so I'm guessing that this section here is just screwed onto there. I think it's just a bit of extra weight, to be honest. That makes more sense. Okay, now we can see everything. Now our clip can come off. We'll get our worm gear out the way, make sure that's all nice and free moving while we're here. Well, for something that's not had a lot of use, it's pretty dirty, Sparky. Give that a wee clean, maybe give it a wee drip of fresh oil while we're in the general area. But yeah, if you've gone this far, you might as well give it a bit of a nice wee lube job. Because if these things start seizing up, then your motor has got more work to do and it can burn out. Not try to panic you, but that's what can happen. Right now this can drop out. And we can try and tackle how we're going to attach these wires properly to them. But you know what? I'm looking at this and I think they might already be soldered. You see the little bit of heat shrink down there? I think they might already be soldered. Normally, if they've got the clips at the top, then they've also got the clips down at the bottom. That is very interesting. I'm going to get a little 9-volt battery and try an experiment. I have rigged up a little test track. I've got a 12-volt resistor bulb wired up to either side of the trucks. Okay. And this is how I'm going to test to see if we are getting power from the track up to the light. If we're getting power to the light, then it would go into the circuit board. It is an LED, however, so I need to get this round the right way. Positive, negative, that is. There we go. Okay, so let's move this slowly along and see what happens. It's definitely flickering a little bit, which is weird. I would expect that to be fairly solid all the way, because it does have 6 wheels touching the rails. So what happens if I wiggle these wires a little bit? They seem okay also. Should not be flickering. So we could have dodgy wheels. I'm looking at that one there actually, and it does look a little bit corroded. I wonder if this is going to be a wheel fault after all. Don't know if you can see that there though. That wheel does not look the best. But I don't think that's enough of a breakage in the power to make it completely conk out. Although it is surprising that, I mean, we've got 3 in each side picking up power. It shouldn't really be flickering. Unless all the wheels were damaged. I don't know, that seems not too bad. I wonder if it just needs clean wheels. It's definitely flickery there. And now it's off. Okay, that wire is definitely making a difference. Do you see that? So I am going to remove those wires and solder them back on, because I think they are soldered, but we'll find out in a sec. Now there's a lot of plastic in this area. I don't want to melt it if I solder, so I want to dismantle the trucks. We have got 4 clips holding this bottom plate on. You can see them there, one on either side there, and up there, one on either side there. Let's see it from the underside. Just behind that wheel there. You see that? I found if you get a pair of tweezers, kind of bend them in like that so they can both work at the same time. Get them under the clips. It's a wee bit tricky, obviously. Just take your time. Wow, this needs to be really sharp tweezers, I tell you. Get that side in. Okay, so I've got those down. That should start separating if I push it a bit further. Okay, so that's separated. I'm going to push it down a wee bit more with a screwdriver just so it doesn't clip back in. Try and get the other side done. Same deal. Those little clips there. Screwdriver underneath. Separate them. Push it down. That should separate there, like so. Prise it off. Of course, the other side's clipped back in, because it does that. So maybe try and keep your finger pushing that way while you're getting the other two out again. Lost track of them. Get it from this side. It's almost like they don't want you to work on these trains. There we go. And it's on the floor. Not to worry, it was a big piece. Okay, let me show you how this comes apart now. Everything just kind of comes out the way now. Okay. I am going to try and do this without removing the wheels. So those clips were not only just holding this in place, but you see those pins there? Those little pins there, they were going into those slots and actually holding the sides on. So multi-function. This is a bit I'm interested in. We'll do one side at a time so that I know I'm getting them the right way around. So I'm just going to cut this bit of heat shrink away and see if it is indeed soldered. If it is soldered, then I am confused because that's a solid bar going across there. Each of these holes the wheel goes into. Hold on a second, that wheel looks really dirty. Like the axle part of the wheel. Oh yeah, this is another possibility. There's a lot of oil in the end of these axles. Just try to carefully remove this one. Again, I don't really want to remove them both at the same time. Right, you see those little axles there? Let me show you just how filthy they are. Okay, they should not be that dirty. If you're going to put oil in these axles, make sure it's conductive grease. If you just put oil in, then not only are you losing the connection, but you're just getting everything filthy, right? Other side's the same. Minky. I'm not blaming Sparky for this. This could have been done from factory. Or even, I don't even know if Sparky got this new. But that has to be clean because the power's going from the rail into the wheel, through that little pin, into one of these holes where it has to make good contact along there, up through the wire. I still want to know if that one's actually soldered on. It's bugging me. It feels pretty solid though. a shame to pull this off if it's actually soldered. I think that's soldered. I'm going to leave that in place. I think the problem is the wheels. So what I'll do is I'll take all the wheels off. Apologies for the video. It seems really garbage at the moment, but you get the idea. So I'm going to clean each of these little holes, 6 of them, all the wheels, put it back together. And we'll do that wee test with the bulb before we actually reassemble it all. Okay then, wheels are all clean and shiny. Let's get this back on. I think it only goes one way. Kind of looks like it could go either way around. We'll give it a shot that way. Make sure those little pins go in their little slots down there, because they hold the sides in. Yep, has to go around this way. Don't know where this cat here keeps coming from. I don't have any cats. Yeah, it has to go that way around. So do not panic. It can only go one way. You can't get it around the wrong way. If you get it around the wrong way, then well done. Right, that's together. Let's get our little test track back. See if that has made any difference whatsoever. Battery. Got the battery the right way round. Oh, that seems better, doesn't it? Let's put it up here so you can see it a bit better. Still getting a bit of a flicker, but not as bad as it was before. So I think there's a wee dead spot there. Oh, there is actually some wee dirty bits in the track, to be fair. But that's a lot better than it was, I think you'll agree. So oil in the axles and the pins going into the sides, I think has been causing the problem. However, I am still going to solder on these wires at the top onto the motherboard, well, once I desolder them from this lovely bulb. Okay, we'll see you when we are almost back together. Reinstalling this is the opposite of taking it apart, so I won't bore you with that. See you in a sec. Okay, we're back together, or at least the truck's back together. I'm going to try and keep this looking as factory as possible. So I want the wires coming from the underside, like they, words like they were supposed to. So I'm going to put a little blob of solder on the top. Then I'm going to grab my wire. And I'm going to heat up that blob of solder and push the wire through. For this job I kind of need 2 right hands. So we'll try it with my left hand. Because I want this wire to go up here. And then once it gets through, once the solder's hot, that should push through. And then hopefully seal in place. Wires through. Set in place. Maybe just bend that wee wire over a wee smidge. Actually, no, I'm going to snip it. Because if I bend it that way, it might touch something it's not supposed to. So I'm just going to snip that there. And hopefully my little plastic cap will now slide over. Like it had originally. Oh, I think that goes down the way. Does it go down the way? Down the way, yes. Like so. The wire can go around there and back into its little channel. Doesn't look too bad. The video's gone all jerky again. This is the last time I'll be using this method for recording videos. Hopefully you get the idea. I'll do the same with that one, and then we will get the body back on. Other wire is soldered on, cap is on. Look, even put a new bit of shiny sellotape over the top. Right, let's get the body on. Make sure the wires are tucked in. God, so many wires. Here, all for the lights, because that's the speaker wire down there. Sooner I get past this bit, the better, because this jerky cam is really doing me in, doing me. And I'm never going to be using this method to record a video again. So let's go on with it. Gently, gently. Not sure what it's... Oh goodness, there's just so many wires, you've got to be so careful in here. Make sure they're all past the little screw points. Okay, I think it's good this time. Okay, so as before, we've got screw down there, and your coupler screws. Now, there is a difference with these screws. The coarse screws are for the body because they're going into plastic. The fine screws, fine thread screws that is, they're going into the couplers because they're going into the metal chassis. So I'll take care of all that. I think I haven't damaged anything else. I mean anything. And I'll see you at the track, okay? With a smooth cam. Oh, this is awful. Okay, let's see if we've fixed this. Loco is going nice and slow. Frog is definitely off. When they're in the up position, there is no power going to that frog. Okay, here we go, we're getting close. We're nearly there. Maybe should have gone a wee bit faster. Right, we're almost there. Moment of truth. And breathe. Fantastic. Oh well, back in the box and then back to Sparky in a year or two. So what was the issue then? I am going to go with those wheel axle pins sticking out the way, being covered in oil, and just not transferring the power from the track to the wheels, to that bar, to the wire, to the decoder. Because I think the wires were okay. I did solder the top ones. I was in the area, why not? However, I don't think it was a complete waste of time because it kind of gives you an idea of what it could be. Got to start right at the basics of, is it getting power from the track into the decoder? And then you can work backwards from there. It's a shame to see it go, but alas, it's not mine. Right, I'll see you in the next one. Need a fun project.